honor to our dear colleague, mentor, and friend, Professor Bob Bernstein. He couldn't be physically here with us. He's more than in spirit. He's actually listening the session. Thanks to Eric for making the arrangements. And this is a celebration and also a pause to reflect on the great work of Bob for the past 60 years on urban processes. So he has, through his curiosity and charming, bring us all together for many years, and the contributions deserve to be reminded. We have six contributions, and they are all here. Some of them just came for this session, and they will introduce themselves as we go through. I will start with the first memory of the contributions of Bob, and it will be followed by our colleagues. I think I'll have in the second slide the agenda so we can go through the next slide. That'll be great. Yeah. And we have contributions from pretty much almost all over the world. That's what Bob's contributions have been over his career in many ways. So I think without any further delay, I'm going to go ahead and start. We can switch to my presentation. I'm Jorge Gonzalez. I'm a professor now at the University of Albany. And I have been had the privilege to be working with Bob now for 20 years now, to be precise. Almost most of my career. So let me see that this guy work yet. So this is what we call changes in changing cities or coastal cities in a changing environment, and this is how I got the opportunity to meet Bob, and at San Jose State University when I was at Santa Clara University. And more than being anecdotal, I'm going to go through some of the works that I had the privilege to work with Bob, and beyond the past, they're very current, very contemporary, and also pushes to new venues. This is a group that we have the privilege to work with over about 20 years, and Bob has been commentor of most, if not all, the students. It's a good a cadre of students. All of them scores on their own. Some of them are here or will be here, and and we can see that the number of students that are coming up is also significant, very large. And we'll talk through the work today. So we've been working on case studies from the tropics to the Pacific to the Northeast and some other places, and each one is unique on its own and has a fingerprint of Bob. So we started this conversation, like I said, 20 years ago, in trying to understand that interaction between coastal cities and a changing environment. And initially, we started looking at the case of the tropics, the case of San Juan, Puerto Rico, and it was interesting in itself because it was a template for a changing land cover due to rapid urbanization. And we asked these questions about if that's the case, and if the climate is changing, how these signals are then interacting within each other. And this is the case of San Juan, as I indicated, was very rapid urbanization from 1950, and now it's been plateaued. and it went from almost no population to almost 2 million people in about 40 years. That's spread tremendously. So that was an interesting case, and then how the land changed from agro to urbanization, and even suburbanization to more suburban vegetation. So again, that was a very interesting case, and the case was made to do a larger field studies, and that was in 19 years ago. In 2004, we launched the Atlas campaign to look at the first tropical coastal city from a urban heat island or surface urban heat island, and the signal is very clear as we can see. So that brings us to the question is the landscape is changing, but also the surrounding environment is also changing. So we look at, of course, the regional climate changes, and these are the changes in the SSTs, surface temperatures in the area. So we found that the Caribbean, and that's still the case, is one of the fastest warming regions in terms of SSTs in that case. So we got this really bright student, Daniel Komarasamy, and in trying to look at these questions, and Bob indicated, suggested maybe we need to do a separation factor technique. So he actually put us in contact with Albert Einstein through emails, of course, compatriots, and that led to this major contribution that is probably one of the most currently cited papers in the field, where Daniel looked at the single effect. He constructed the climate in the past, he constructed the land cover in the past, also in the present time. So this is not future projection, it was based on historical data. He looked at the single effect and the combined effect. The combined effect is all the way at the top. So this is a positive feedback in terms of global warming, and also in terms of land cover land use. So that suggests ideas to potentially mitigate, because the fact that the larger effects is due to the local impacts, it means that there are opportunities to mitigate the urban heat island in the region vis-a-vis the global warming. He also looked at the hydrological signals, and it was a reverse feedback where the global warming signal controls the humidity and the precipitation in the area. So that was a negative feedback in this case. So of course our mind we both say, okay, we just can do this stuff in other places, all right? And we look at the LA case, and we see whether we have the similar positive feedback or negative feedback. Bingo, we got this huge surprise that the coastal California region was actually cooling instead of warming, as we were seeing in the case of the tropics. So that really took us out, and this is led to what we call now Bob's coastal cooling hypothesis, that he postulated that because global warming probably was having a strong effect in warming the inland areas, and the Pacific behave different than the Atlantic, is stubborn in terms of being responsive to the global warming signal. That created this increased gradient between inland and the coast, and increase in sea breeze, therefore the cooling effect. And that hypothesis is still being challenged, but it keeps consistently being tested over and over. We have other students, Pedro, that challenges against PDO signals, and but in reality, the hypothesis remain altogether, and we're seeing all the responses similar in other areas. So we actually postulated the same experiment, a sustained factor separation, and clearly the signals again were. This is all based on reconstruction of the past and the present, and the period of time was a little bit shorter than the case of the tropic, but very clear that there was in this case a counter signal as opposed to being expected. So in parallel, we were exploring ways to look at more complex regions. So it's not like we moved to the northeast. It was in parallel effort. We actually moved from California to the northeast, and at the time that was about 2009. That has been a major production yeah, in terms of the contributions and both fingerprints in every single of the contributions. The New York City metro region provides us new opportunities, new friends. Alberto joined the effort and improving the urbanization schemes. Today, some of these parameterization are part of the community and leading to very interesting work such as variable effects for representing the city effects that corrected the over prediction of the wind speed, and we feel that now this is we're in a little bit better place than before. Student Luis Ortiz took it over and probably demonstrated that one of the best prediction of an extreme heat event. I think Luis maybe a year later, and we're doing something else, but you can see that the newest version of UR really matches perfectly the observations, and that this is pretty much the most remarkable evidence that there are opportunities to improve the way that we see the city. We actually took that all down into the future projections for the climate, extreme climate, focus on extreme climates, and using those new parameterizations to drive then the New York City panel on climate change report before the city for the new generation. More recently, of course, coastal urban processes. This has been in both minds for a long time. Is how that impacts the air quality. This is a new venture for us, and Bo has been motivating this kind of work. So this is the 2018 observe events for extreme heat event that induces a lot of ozone episodes and controlled in large part by the sea breeze front. Again, that sea breeze front that we've been chasing for many years, all the way from California to here, actually control the ozone episode. It's a very complex plot, but what it indicates is the urban heat island driving the sea breeze front, and then the sea breeze front then controlling the ozone episodes when it stalls or no. So that leads then to new challenges. So how can we then represent now not only the event but also the air quality? And we had the opportunity to then look into, we have some really brilliant students, so they will get involved into correcting the over prediction of the heat island with the Bula parameterization, and recently updated with NYNN to bring more mixing through a more better representation of the turbulence scheme is here. So, and this is the most very recent work. Bob has very much involved from this, of course, and in seeing how that interactions occurs all together. One of our newest students then went all the way and urbanized working with NYNN, and just marvelous representation of having the proper heat island and the proper ozone episodes is not possible without urbanizing our air quality models. This is the kind of stuff that we recently happening. So this is again motivated, inspired by about curiosity for a long time. That led to the very first ever urbanized UR10 forecast to drive one of the largest campaign that happened this summer in our city. This is a Harold's work, and 1 minute, guys. So I'm going to get to the reflections in a second. So lastly, we've been looking into a very recent case that we've been involved with Bob is looking at Houston, and as part of the Tracer campaign, I think here is a new venture, at least for us, but I think Bob has been contributing in this field for a long time in terms of the role of the city in thunderstorms. And we have another group of brilliant students, Carlos Peña, working with us, and then guided by Bob on almost a day-to-day basis, and looking at the signal of the city of Houston, inducing a convective event, inducing that convective event to precipitation, very clear signal urbanization. Here is bifurcation, induced and bifurcation all together. The tracer provides a very rich data set to understand these effects in a very more unique way, so with a more fresh perspective. And please stop. Yeah, got it. So finally, the future has Bob fingerprint. We were awarded an art, urban art program. It's going to be in Baltimore, 2025, 2024, 2025. I invited colleagues to join us on this conversation, and all these questions about coastal urban processes are going to be part of this major field campaign. So again, Bob's fingerprint into the big future still there. I'm going to just take 1 minute to do my reflections on the book contribution on this topic, and I'm going to read it with you. So, both curiosity for understanding complex post-human atmospheric processes have inspired more than one generation of students, including myself and many others, to understand, represent, and quantify this flow, how they impact single or combined processes. In this case, of course, the elusive series from is the biggest challenge. And I'm not saying we have solved the issue, but I think we have advanced thanks to Bob. We also learned that through Bob, Stein, and curiosity, that every coastal urban environment is unique on its own and challenges with new discoveries and new questions. So the assumption of positive feedback all the time is not going to be correct. We learned that in the hard way, and it was interesting. So it's very difficult to quantify the impacts of a scientist in society. But I think in both cases, we can certainly indicate that tens of students have been inspired, colleagues also, and together we have advanced our field, and likely millions of Costa residents have or will benefit directly from both contributions in the field. So we've been lucky. I've been most lucky to have been working with Bob over about two-thirds of my career. So thank you, Bob, for that. Now you're hearing us. I wasn't expecting you to be listening, but since you are, I'm going to tell you that. So thank you very much for this. So I think since 1970 helicopter to the aroma, I think this is where Bob has taken us with his own mind, and just being grateful for all you have done for us, Bob. Thank you very much. We don't have time for questions on in this case, but maybe if there's any urgent question or comment, we can shoot it out. Now we can move to the next speaker. Maybe Bob one. Bob, you want to say something? Hello, Bob. Thank you, Bob. All right. So I think we can move to the next speaker. Yeah. Sorry, to 2 more minutes.